hockey fans, we are back at the Fox and Fiddle for episode 8 of Troops Trio, brought to you by Sports Illustrated Tickets. And right now, your hosts, Ranjan, Bob, and Matt.
Thank you, AJ. Troops Trio proudly sponsored by the City of North Bay, the Boat North Bay, the Clubhouse at Gateway Golf, the Moose Cookhouse, and the Fox and Fiddle, where we are live tonight. We thank our hosts for not only sponsoring the show, but also for letting us take over the restaurant for a little while. I'm joined as always by Bob and Ranjan, and we want to thank our viewers for tuning in on the Battalion YouTube page, and we want to thank the listeners for listening in on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your favorite podcast. We've got several guests lined up for today's show, including assistant coach Matt Markwart. We'll hear later from Ryan Olahan as well in our Coffee with the Coaches segment. But first, Bob, Ranjan, how are you guys doing this week?
I'm doing pretty good, nice atmosphere. Hello to some of our pals out there who are watching this thing live. And, it's the weather's turned into hockey weather, right?
It certainly has.
It's a little colder, the threat of snow over the next couple of days. So, all ready for another exciting week of Battalion hockey.
Yeah, this is the best time of year because you've got all the sports going. Other than baseball, we don't talk about baseball anymore.
No, we don't. Not anymore.
We're past that. But a good Remembrance Day ceremonies today throughout the city at the different places, and just makes you remember that I think the battalion do a great job celebrating the troops and the soldiers, that is, and those from the past. So it's a great time of year. Everything comes together, and now we can focus on hockey.
Yeah, a very somber ceremony today as I was doing some of these interviews around the Longyear Memorial Gardens.
Yeah, and the focusing on hockey, certainly something the battalion were doing last weekend. They end the week again at 500. They're 9-9, 1-0 on the year. Tough loss against the Flint Firebirds, but they battled back for a win over Saginaw, and then they managed to get a very hard-fought 1 point against the Sarnia Sting. Let's get your guys' thoughts on the weekend as a whole. Didn't start great, but it certainly ended a lot better.
Yeah, I think Friday night just didn't look like the battalion team we're used to seeing, and it was reflected in the scoreboard. But I thought the response was great on Saturday from the get-go on Saturday night in Saginaw. They came out ready to play. Really, the whole team did. They were physical. They worked hard. And the game was tight after 2 periods. They were only up a goal, and Saginaw was in it. So, but it was a complete effort, complete team effort from the goaltender all the way to the opposite end of the ice. So, really a spirited effort. And on Sunday, the Sting, the battalion looked sharp early. Sarnia got into it. I don't know if fatigue played a role in the second half of the game. But North Bay rallied. They pushed the game to overtime with a couple of late power play goals, and then Saginaw got the extra point, or Sarnia got the extra point. So I think overall that's a tough stretch. 3 and 2.5 days, a lot of bus travel, and they got 3 points.
Yeah, Ranjan, they came off a big win over Niagara last Sunday, so the hope was they'd be able to carry it into that weekend, and that game against the Firebirds didn't show that, but the next 2 games certainly did. And I think that game against the Firebirds is just one you got to flush. Forget that one, because you take the 3 out of the 4 games that you won and that you got points in, and you say these are much more battalion style hockey games.
And you can break it down by period. There's in those 4 games there are 12 periods, and the battalion played very well in most of those periods. Just the lapse, right? And even the Edmonton Oilers can have a lapse, right? They got smoked by Colorado 9-1, but Edmonton's not as bad as that game, and North Bay's not as bad as what showed up against Flint. You saw a hard-working team the next night, and I think, thinking back, since 2013, whenever this team has had a bad result, they always come back with an honest, hard-working result the next game. And that has been true with Stan Butler as coach and Ryan Olahan now as coach. This is a team that doesn't have a pity party and doesn't get caught in the ditch for very long. They turn up, and they did, and they outworked. I was a bit worried actually against Saginaw because they outworked Saginaw in the first period, but Saginaw got the first goal. And I thought, okay, what's going to happen now? but they stuck to their plan, and they executed very well, and they dominated that game.
And that's great for the players, too, when they work hard, and Matt, they see the results. Like Ryan talked about that earlier in the season, where the Sault Ste. Marie game, where they played hard for 2 periods, and then they got into penalty trouble in the third, and they didn't see the positivity in the points at the end of the night. And sometimes you can get frustrated, especially with younger players, but we didn't see that Saturday night in Saginaw at all.
Yeah, I remember talking to Ryan Olhan after that game against the Sioux Greyhounds, and he felt dejected for the players that they worked so hard and still didn't get anything. And this weekend shows that promise of putting in the hard work, that the points are going to come, right? Like you said, Ranj, the game against Saginaw, you're going in the third period up by 1, Saginaw's starting to push, but then the Battalion explode for 5 goals in that third period, and that's where that hard work and effort are I think, starting to finally pay off. And then the next night, you're down going into the third period of the game, but they come back and they make it close. Sarnia scores another goal to increase that 2-goal lead, but the Battalion keep pushing and manage to tie the game with 13 seconds left on the clock. I mean, yes, they lost in overtime, and that 1 point, leaving that 1 point on the table is a tough pill to swallow. But man, the fact that you fought back just to get that 1 point, those are the kinds of lessons that they're showing that are starting to pay off for this team.
Nothing to hang your head about with that result. And so I think back to the Saginaw game, and they're up 2-1. The game can go either direction, right? Because both teams are very much in it at that point. And a nice pass from Moses from the half boards, and he just saucers a pass to Pazzi in front of the net. That made it 3-1, and then the onslaught happened after that. And so I think Shamar Moses coming back into the lineup after taking a night off and has really been one of their more potent producers since that time. And so that's something I'm going to ask Matt when he's sitting here is the value of giving a player an opportunity to watch for a game out of the lineup and then come back in, if that was some sort of a plan, some sort of strategy. But it seems to have worked. I like Moses' work ethic and his physicality. Last year, I wouldn't have viewed him, I wouldn't have described Shamar Moses as a physical player last year. He was a point producer, power play specialist, really did a good job setting up possession on the power play. But this year, there's a physicality. I don't know if that's because he was at Florida Panthers camp, probably, and he's trying to put both of those aspects together in the game. And it's not easy to do, but it's starting to come around for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Shamar Moses got 3 points on the weekend, including 2 goals. All right, we'll definitely touch on more of this when Matt Markwart joins us. We are live at the Fox and Fiddle tonight, and AJ had a chance to catch up with Fox and Fiddle owner Nathan Toss. Let's toss it over to AJ and Nathan now.
Thanks, Matt. We are with Nathan Toss, the owner of the Fox and Fiddle. Nathan, how's it going tonight, brother?
Pretty not bad, buddy. Pretty not bad.
Awesome. Now, you've been a huge supporter of the Battalion all these years, actually since day one. Why is that important to you to be involved with us?
Well, I think that everyone knows that in a tight-knit community like North Bay community, and whether it's for the kids, whether it's for the troops, whether it's for the competition of hockey, it's what we grew up with, and we love it.
And obviously, if people that go to the games know that I'm in the foxhole, so with your big advertising, and you've been there since day one, I love it, so we do appreciate that. Fox and Fiddle has always been a great place for North Bay 8s and tourists to come and hang out. What do you guys have going on so far this winter?
Well, pretty much for the last 15 years, we do everything from an open mic night to trivia night to bands to DJs, and always food special, wing deals, taco night, fish and chip day. So it's a plethora of a lot of events always.
Awesome. Now, if someone hasn't eaten here before and they were to come here, what's one thing that they need to try?
Well, personally, I'm a wing guy, but
yeah, the wings are good here. The wings are good.
I'm a wing guy. But North Bay has voted the Fox and Fiddle Fish and Chips the best in town for consecutive years in a row.
So there you go. Fish and Chips, Fox and the Fiddle, Nathan Toss. Back to you, Matt.
Go Troops, go!
All right, thanks so much, AJ. We want to thank Sports Illustrated Tickets and Happy Dad Beverages for bringing you this show, as well as our community sponsors, the City of North Bay, the Boat North Bay, the Moose Cookhouse, the Clubhouse at Gateway Golf, and the Fox and Fiddle, where we are live tonight. Make sure you check out the Battalion social media channels to find out all the latest with Troops Trio. And don't forget, you can send your comments and questions to Troops Trio at troopstrio@battalionhockey.com. And remember, we are on YouTube as well as all the major streaming platforms for audio podcasts, including Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And now, we are joined with our guest assistant coach, Matt Markwart. Matt, thanks so much for joining us, making your Troops Trio debut tonight.
Thanks for having me. Before we get started, just want to say you guys are doing an awesome job. Really, really love this. I think it's extremely unique. You know, the insight you guys give, a little peek behind the curtain at not only the players, but, you know, the opponents at times. And it's unique, and we all love it. I always catch the guys tuning in or guys checking out on YouTube. So
that's
great
awesome.
job.
That's awesome to hear. Matt, let's start by talking about this past weekend. You know, we touched on how head coach Ryan Olahan felt about how the team played after that Sioux game, not getting any points out of that. But now you've picked up points in 3 out of the last 4 games. I guess, you know, those are just the things that you're trying to teach these kids is, hey, the hard work is going to eventually pay off. And I guess we're seeing it over this last little stretch now.
For sure. I mean, we preach, you know, being process driven. You know, it's a result-based business, but you don't get the results without, you know, putting in the time with the process. And like you said, we are seeing some results, but, you know, things like road trips are excellent for, you know, bringing teams together and learning important lessons that any team that wishes to accomplish something in the end need to go through. And, you know, looking back to that first game of the road trip, sometimes get a little bit shell-shocked in some other buildings with, you know, good atmospheres and things like that. And, you know, it's not football. You don't have to wait a full week, you know, to let it stew and you know, we didn't have time to think about it. So that was a really good response by our guys, you know, going into Saginaw after a tough defeat in Flint. And, you know, they remember, but it's a little less of a sting when you can go in and you know, get points the very next night, playing the right way. And like I said, you learn lessons that way. We kind of saw what doesn't work on one given night, and then you know, roll up your sleeves, pull up your socks, and you're right back at it the next day. No time to think about it. And that's where, you know, teams really come together on the road. You know, and in a 3-3, well, 3 2.5 maybe, yeah. With travel, it's really good. The guys all just kind of sit around. You don't get a lot of time to just sit in the hotels. We were, you know, right back into hockey and you know, watching video and getting ready for the next thing. So you know, it was, you know, 3 points out of possible 6 on a road trip like that with travel. You know, not a lot of time. You know, it's not the ideal result, but we'll take it.
You talked about behind the curtain. So I showed up to interview Ryan today in our coffee with Coach, and I walked into the coach's office, and you guys were all working pretty hard. Like, I know, like, the game isn't till Thursday. You had that long road trip. Give the fans here a sense of the work you do during the week to prepare for those 2.5 hours on game night.
Yeah, I mean, a lot more goes into it, I think, than people think. Than we just show up on the bench on game day. But you know, we're always kind of buried in our laptops. The game has changed a lot with, you know, the access to video and instant feedback we can have with our players either on the bench, you know, and then when we come in after a day off, we're right at the video just to kind of dissect things that went down. We do it quickly in between games and just kind of get the points we need to hit going into the next game. But when we get to completely break down certain things, get a lot of feedback and video time with players, you know, show them things, especially like I remember playing, and it's what you remember in your head's different what the coach remembers in his head, and you don't have the same memory. But now, you know, the video doesn't lie, and we put in a ton of time. You know, everybody's really invested in this, and we have a great staff that, you know, from Nate McDonald with the goalies, you know, Uli's overseeing everything, Bill Holders with the defense penalty kill, and myself with the forwards and the power play. We're always, you know, looking to better the team and see what ways we can try and get better results, or just give the players instant feedback and positivity on things they're doing really well, and maybe some things that they need to work on. But yeah, like you said, Bob, there's a lot of work that goes into it, and a lot of research and hours, dissecting games and having one-on-one time with the players that, is really beneficial for our progress as a team.
I always, that's a great thought, and you certainly bring a lot when in the video room, and it's, the game has really evolved, right? And so it's very technical and a lot of statistics and things. I want to go back to the game in Flint. I know you don't want to go back to Flint, but I'm also going to talk about Saginaw, because there's a roller coaster of emotions there for the players, and you can just kind of see it in their body language in Saginaw, and you could definitely see it in their body language in Flint. And so as a coaching staff, and I've wondered this for 12 years, when things are sliding the wrong way, what are you thinking behind the bench? What can be done? And in both situations, when it's going badly or when it's going very well, do you have to remind them to play systems and not get into bad habits? Maybe you can take us through the 2 nights.
For sure. I mean, for myself, I've always kind of used, you want to sync to your structure. If you get away from the things you do well or the things that work, or you push the envelope to try and do things and everyone kind of gets on their own page, if you're cheating for stuff, sometimes, you rely on your habits as opposed to relying on freestyling sometimes. So, a good example of that is just, last year, the script was flipped where we started in Saginaw on that trip, and it was a really tough start. We had I think they scored 4 or 5 goals in the first 5 minutes of the game. But we were able to kind of use that as a reference point where, hey, reset. This is a good time for us to really bear down on things we do well, or play a structured game to see it through, get through that one. And then, again, we use the football analogy all the time where you don't have to wait a week to let this sink in. Like, we're right back at it tomorrow. If we can get some momentum from this third period or a certain, chunk of the game, then we can kind of put our best foot forward into the next one. And that was kind of what went on in Flint, where, the second period really slid away from us there. But, we had a better third. I think, the guys really rallied around each other and really took that as, there's times during the year you can use as a bookmark reference, and then helps us as you said, like, we can refer to those times. Like, remember when we went to Flint the very next night, we played probably one of our best games in Saginaw. Like, being able to turn the page and have a reset and refocus on the next task, I think, really benefited us for the remainder of that road trip.
A lot has been said about the offense not getting going this season, and it's been slow. But when you put up goals like you did this weekend, it tells me that the offense is working. That there are guys that are scoring. You're getting 7 different scorers in that game against Saginaw. So that's got to be very rewarding for an offensive coordinator like yourself.
For sure. And, I've lived through it too. So there's some things I can impart with them, with either, slumps or, the way they're feeling or the way the team's feeling, and the things, again, you need to stick to in order to get out of it. And doing things by committee, I think, is a good way to get things going. I think that, again, you find these reference points throughout the year that really, you end up bookmarking those going forward. And like you said, we know it's there. Sometimes, simplicity is a way out of things like that, keeping things a little simpler. Like I said, going back to what we do well, or sticking to our structure as opposed to going out. I think there was times during this year where, you hear the term all the time, you're gripping the stick too tight. Or for me, I find sometimes they're looking for the better option when there's a really good option in front of them, whether it's to shoot the puck. Like, if you're in a good spot to shoot the puck. Sometimes they look, well, I think I can push the puck just a little further to get in a little better spot. Well, by that time, this league is so good, and when you're playing at this level, things that you think are there can get taken away pretty quick. So I think just I use instinct a lot. That's the word I use with the players a lot. Use your instincts. Like when you feel you're in a good spot to shoot, you probably are. So, and oftentimes your first play is the best play. The first thing you think of, you don't have to wait to scan to see for a better play. There is times for that, but that's when I find when the players use the simple way or their first instinct, then they can see the other options that could develop, and they'll see it a little bit quicker. But when you're struggling to score, or you feel like you're struggling to score, sometimes you don't think you have the time you have or the option you have, and you feel the pressure a little bit. So yeah, and then you get a game like that where we won by committee, and we had different players produce offensively, and then you move forward and again use that as a bookmark going forward.
Okay, a couple of games this week. You got Grey Cup Sunday, Saginaw, and a rematch, which will be interesting because you just played them. And it's at 3 o'clock, special start time on that one. But first up, you get Erie on Thursday. I was talking to Chris Mlette. We'll hear from him later, the head coach of the Erie Otters. And you and him have an interesting relationship. Tell me, you had a story for me, so tell us all about it.
Yeah, we never coached together, never played together or anything like that, but I was out west before I came home and jumped on with the battalion, and we played a lot of games against the Kelowna Rockets, which he was the head coach for, and we had a lot of very intense playoff battles, regular season battles, and then when all that came to an end at the end of one of the series, we had a handshake, and he said, "Are you a North Bay guy?" And I was like kind of taken back, because being in Seattle or being in Kelowna, BC, you don't really hear, "Are you a North Bay guy?" very often. And he said, "Yeah, me too. I was born in North Bay." So pretty interesting now. And the Erie Otters have 2 North Bay guys behind their bench now. So yeah, it'll be an interesting one Thursday.
Now, about your career, because I checked I knew you'd played a while. I didn't know so many places you played in. Florida, Oklahoma, North Carolina, Coventry, England, Sheffield, I think Germany as well. What was your favorite place to play?
Oh, man. That's a tough one. Played in a ton of places, like you mentioned. They all had their own special memories for me and my family, and I guess that would be my favorite thing was the fact that I got to have my family check out so many places. They didn't really have a lot of reasons to travel, and right. So for them to kind of experience all those places was pretty unique and pretty special. I can't pinpoint just one. I'll give Florida a shout out just because we won a championship there, so that was pretty special. And then my time overseas, just, getting to experience different cultures, different, cuisines, different ways of life. That was a great life experience for myself. And as you mentioned, Coventry, England, I was given the opportunity to continue my career and go to university. So it was something that really helped me, as my career wound down. Given the opportunity to go to school and know that hockey doesn't really last forever and get an education was pretty special as well.
I know you're a modest guy, but while we're talking about it, how many rings do you have? Championship rings?
3.
And that's the Memorial Cup twice?
No Memorial Cup. Bridesmaid twice, the Memorial Cup.
Bridesmaid twice.
Lost to the same team as a coach and as a player, to the same coach, Patrick Waugh, in the Quebec Ramparts. So
it was rigged.
Yeah. So played my junior hockey in Moncton, which was awesome. I played for Ted Nolan, Danny Flynn, Dan Lacroix. Had some great coaches there, and won a championship with them in Moncton. And then in Florida in the ECHL, won a Kelly Cup. And then with Seattle, we won the Ed Chenoweth Cup in the WHL, and went to the Memorial Cup in Kamloops a few years back and lost in the finals again to Patrick Waugh and the Quebec Ramparts. So,
do you think the experience of being in all those different places, does that help you connect with the kids more? Like, I know when Scott Ray was an assistant coach here, and he had a pretty extensive pro career as well. He played in England as well, and played in a lot of different places around in the AHL. And he was able to, talk about his pro career and get a lot of the players excited about like that next step in their career.
Yeah, for sure. I had a really unique path to even just junior. Growing up here, didn't make some teams, and then just kind of stuck with it and found a way to etch my own path into junior hockey. So played some junior A hockey in the Ottawa area in Brockville, and then was afforded some opportunities to explore some NCAA schools, and then got the opportunity to go play in Moncton with Ted Nolan as a free agent and experience the Quebec League, which was a great experience for myself. But and then I was never drafted to the OHL. That's why I was able to explore that avenue, and then was drafted to the NHL a year after that. So things kind of happened super quick. But again, as I got into coaching, like I fell in love with junior hockey just growing up here. Being a diehard Centennials fan with all my buddies, and the NHL was never really a goal at first because we all wanted to be Centennials and we all wanted to be junior hockey players because it was so cool. So that was a big part of me kind of falling in love with junior hockey, and then my experience as a player, I really enjoyed it. Took a lot of life lessons and really grew as a person there. And then as you getting into coaching, I had such great mentors and people that really helped me, that again, playing in all these different places and going through, exploring the NCAA process versus the junior process. So I just feel I have a lot of feedback I could give to these kids that might be in different, parts of their life or decisions they need to make. I feel like having gone through them, I could really, really help with that. And then obviously playing a long pro career in different spots and different roles and different positions, I'm able to just kind of empathize with them a little bit and kind of know what they're feeling, know what they're going through, and then maybe the tools I use to navigate that can help them. So I was very fortunate, and it's really rewarding to be coaching now, and I love it.
Absolutely. All right, Bob's got the last question before we let you go.
One more, and I've always been impressed by this. The vibe in the coach's office, and it's been there for a few years. When Scott was here, it was there. Now you got Nate, yourself, Bill Holder, of course, and Ryan. And when Adam was coaching, he was part of that as well. So how do you account for that? Because you guys seem to really work as a team more than, Ryan's the head coach, but Adam puts in input on players that they want to draft or scout. There really seems to be a vibe, right? A positive vibe. And where does that come from, do you think?
Well, I think we all, to an extent, we've experienced so much together and know the value of teamwork and being collaborative. And I think that, these kids are smart too. They could see right through that if we're not unified and there's any kind of disconnect with us. So we spend a lot of time together. We have so much fun together. It's a great work environment, but that's the culture of our team. I think from Mr. Abbott, down to Adam and John Winstanley and Ryan as part of the management group. Not only for the player, they've created a really good culture for the players even before I got here. And it's really the environment that, really brings out the culture. You hear that word a lot, culture in sports, but it's really the environment. The kids, we have to kick them out all the time because they love being at the rink, and we do too. We love coming to the rink every day, and we know we're gonna, chirp each other and have some fun. And again, the word teamwork or just being collaborative, I think that just resonates from our leadership as coaches, the people that we're working with. It's awesome. We have so much fun, and I think that really helps when we're trying to get a team to come together, a bunch of some new faces with blended in with some of the kids that have been here a while in the leadership group, and it's great. It's a ton of fun. I'm glad you guys can see that. It's a good vibe because it really is.
That's awesome. All right, Matt, we thank you so much for joining us on the show. Thank you for your insight. We'll definitely have you back on Troops Trio at a later date. We're going to take a break. We'll have the Sports Illustrated Tickets defining moment of the week. And AJ, will be on the desk when we come back. Stay tuned. This is the Sports Illustrated Tickets Battalion defining moment of the week. From big plays on the ice to the fans in the stands who make every game special, Sports Illustrated Tickets gets you closer to the moments that matter with seats to sports, concerts, and theater events around the globe. Visit sitickets.com or download the app today.
Greer hands it off. Here's Enright with a shot. Knocked down by Reese. He blocked it. Another follow-up. They score! Pawsey scores with 13 seconds to go in the third period. This game is tied 5-5.
Sports Illustrated Tickets, the official partner of the North Bay Battalion and the Troops Trio podcast. Welcome back. We want to thank Sports Illustrated Tickets and Happy Dad Beverages for bringing you this show, as well as our community sponsors, City of North Bay, the Boat North Bay, the Moose Cookhouse, the Clubhouse at Gateway Golf, and the Fox and Fiddle, where we are live tonight. Make sure you check out the Battalion social media channels to find out all the latest with Troops Trio, and you can also find out what's going on at the rink with AJ Jakeman, who joins us on the desk now. AJ, it's time for your segment, the highly anticipated AJ's Fan Voice segment.
Little applause for AJ, yes.
It's better than when I was here 2 weeks ago. It was just Ranjan, so I feel a little bit better about myself today.
Oh, wow.
How did you guys do last week without me? Did you miss me?
Well, we missed Ranjan, we missed you.
Oh,
so
yeah, you were gone too, eh?
Both you guys were away.
I heard you weren't coming, so I said there's no way I'm going to participate if AJ's not there.
Yeah, I was at a Raptors game with XPA Brian Floyd.
Wow, my predecessor. It was a good show, but we missed you guys.
Well, that's good. I'm glad. Thanks, Bob. I
We
appreciate
snuck
that.
into the Mr. Abbott's box to do the show.
What else did you sneak out of that box?
That's it.
Did you guys have the key to
And
the...
that is
yeah?
all that will be divulged on this show. AJ, a couple games coming up this week for the North Bay Battalion. A couple home games. So
Yeah, it seems like
sponsor stuff going
it's
on.
been a while since we played at home. I know we've been playing, but at home it's been seems like forever. And we're back this Thursday, Centurion night again. So wear the black.
Awesome.
Well, actually, I guess white. We'll be wearing white. So that's going to be a whole lot of fun. It's Erie Otters are in town, as you guys mentioned earlier. It's also Ruggaroo night and Special Olympics night. And we're asking people to, we're doing what they call a bucket pass. So sometime during the game, we're going to be passing buckets along the stands, and we're going to ask people to donate. So, it's a little harder nowadays because I don't remember the last time I've kept cash or anything in my pocket. So that's why we're trying to get the word out now to $5, $2, whatever you can bring, whatever you can donate to the Special Olympics for Thursday night.
Yeah, and those athletes are amazing. The competitiveness, the drive they have, and if you can support the local chapter, really good thing to do.
And you know what? I've been doing this for a long time now with Battalion, just to see these Special Olympians' faces when they're at the game. Mm-hmm. Like, to them, like, this is like one of the biggest things probably in their lives, and it makes you feel good, So I'm glad that we participate with this every season.
Yeah, we've had some good champions come through North Bay at Special Olympics. Bev Fippen is one of them.
That's right.
And so you just go down the list, and there's a lot of impressive athletes.
Yeah, there certainly are, and you do see the community support for them throughout the year. My wife helps organize the hometown run for Youth Special Olympics every year, and a lot of the money raised through that goes to help paying for the registration fees so that these athletes can go to whether it's provincials or nationals and throughout the year. So, yeah, it's awesome to see the community support. So if you are coming down for the game against the Erie Otters on Thursday, bring some cash with you and throw it in that bucket.
Exactly, and talk about coming back to the rink Sunday, 3 o'clock start, so everybody make sure they change that on their calendar, and it's for a good reason. Santa Claus, he's coming down Chippewa, so that starts at 12. Come down, watch Santa Claus Parade. Santa Claus Parade's over, come on inside the rink, hot chocolate, get ready for hockey, and it's going to be a whole lot of fun.
It's going to be a great day. You get the Santa Claus Parade, the Battalion game against Saginaw, and then the Grey Cup.
It's a full day.
Now people
With my
still,
Rough Riders trying to win the Grey Cup again.
I didn't realize people still watch the CFL.
Hold on
we
now.
go.
Now, hey, hang on a second. I turned on the East game the other day against Hamilton, and half the seats were empty. You can't. I'm just saying what I saw on TV. I was actually surprised.
Jake, Mike O'Shea wants to talk to you.
Who's that? No, I'm just kidding. I heard earlier he might be becoming an Argo. Did we hear that? Is that what the rumor you started?
Yeah, that's the hot rumor. He could be the next coach of the Argos if he leaves Winnipeg. Yeah.
There we go. Some North Bay talent there. And then one more thing we need to talk about. Thanks for participating. Movember. Bob, where's yours?
Well, I can't grow a mustache. Sorry. I'm incapable.
And I just support it year round.
You just have that like year long and Ranjan.
I'm not allowed to shave mine. My wife says I look like I'm 12. So
hey, when I have just the stash, people ask me where my van is. So I sort of keep it a little bit Movember-ish and then a little bit of AJ-ish, you know.
But then the worst is like because I don't shave, all throughout December people go, you know, Movember's over, right? Like, yes, exactly. I'm aware.
So you know what? The guys are actually trying to raise $20,000. Gerald's going to put a QR code up on the screen right now. So donate away. It'll be interesting to see some players. I'm not sure if they're even going to get any stubble, but you know, or compete with Aaron Onright. Aaron, he's got. You know, that's that farm boy in him, eh?
Enright's got the full bill holder.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's
now, isn't one of the rules though? It's got to be off before.
Well,
November
you know what?
1st,
I think you're supposed
but he's had his mustache going since training
yeah.
camp. So.
I saw him do the promo the other day, and he was like, "I'm like, you're supposed to shave this too a little bit." Not happening.
Not happening. Yeah. All right. AJ, thanks so much.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Looking forward to all of that. We want to thank Sports Illustrated Tickets and Happy Dad Beverages for bringing you this show, as well as our community sponsors, the City of North Bay, the Boat North Bay, the Moose Cookhouse, the Clubhouse at Gateway Golf, and the Fox and Fiddle, where we are live tonight, where just about anything can happen at a live show. All right, Bob, you were busy this morning. You had a chance to catch up with a couple of guests. Let's start with the Erie Otters. They are in town on Thursday. Had a chance to catch up with their head coach. Why don't we get Gerald, producer Gerald, on the hot button here. Producer Gerald, let's hear that interview now.
Okay, Chris Mlette, the head coach of the Erie Otters. And Chris, let's talk about your season so far. I'm sure you'd like better results at this point, but how you've been playing lately? Give us a sense of what fans can expect to see Thursday night from your group.
Well, hopefully it replicates the games that we just played. Our group is trying to find some consistency within, but when we are playing a good structured team game, we're able to compete with a lot of the teams within the league. It's just trying to find that consistency. This past weekend, obviously going 1-1, really liked our game on Friday night as well. We didn't come up on the right side of it, but did a lot of really good things, and then followed it up with Saturday, a really strong team game. So hopefully that's the case. We've been on the road quite a bit this season already. So, we've got to start finding some ways to put some wins together when we're doing that.
And what are your thoughts about the Battalion, a team you're familiar with, but I'm not sure, but this may be your first time as head coach playing the Battalion.
It is, yeah. No, I know Ryan Houlihan very well, obviously, having done a couple competitions with him with Hockey Canada. So respect him a lot as a coach. So know that his team is going to be very prepared, extremely hardworking and detailed. So, I think our group has to expect a real strong home presence with the Battalion. If you look at their scores, I'm sure that obviously Uli would want some consistency in his game as well in regards to how they've been playing, but I know that he'll have them fired up, wanting to take a run at us for sure.
Well, you're here Thursday, and then you got Sudbury, I guess, on Friday, and Oshawa on Sunday, so a busy week ahead for you. Thanks for making time for us here on the Troops Trio podcast.
No problem. I'm looking forward to getting back to where I was born in North Bay. So.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, do your homework, man. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Yeah, no, my dad was in the Air Force, so I was born in North Bay, and Ken Paroff, my assistant coach as well. So we've got some ties there, so it'll be interesting to come back and see it. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, I know Ken Parriff is thought very fondly here in North Bay, and people have followed his playing career with the Battalion, and obviously his coaching career as well with the Battalion, and now with you guys. So, well, have a safe travels to get here, and we'll see you Thursday.
Sounds good. Have a great day.
Chris Mlette, the head coach of the Erie Otters. Thanks, Chris.
All right, we thank Chris Mlette for joining the show. And Bob, like you said, they're looking to get on a better track here, 6-13 as they come into North Bay.
Yeah, he said to me after, we've got to put our work boots on when we play. You'll know we're playing a good game if we're working hard and we're limiting chances and we're just playing well defensively. He said they don't really have the team speed that can win those 7-6 games, and so watch for that come Thursday.
Yeah, they're missing a key player in Schaefer, who's not with the club anymore. A huge hole in their defense. And it takes a while to recover from that because there was maybe a hope that he would come back. It doesn't seem like it's going to happen. So they got to recover. They got to figure out a way to get it done. Last time North Bay went to Erie, it was a physically punishing situation where we lost 2 key players. And I think that's probably got to be at the back of your mind that it's a team that plays physical, and you want to get on them before they get on you and try to get their game going. I think, as Matt was saying, they have systems, and we got to get our team playing our systems, play the game our way so that we're not chasing it.
Coming in on Sunday, the Saginaw Spirit, the Battalion just saw these guys, and you had a chance to catch up with head coach Chris Lazerie. Let's hear that now. Producer Gerald, fire that one up.
Joining us is Chris Lazerie, the head coach of the Saginaw Spirit. And Chris, you're going to be here Sunday, but before you get to North Bay, you got a couple of other road games in the north. I guess you got Barrie on Thursday, Sudbury on Saturday. So how do you prepare for a road trip like that? A lot of bus travel, and obviously you want to get home with a few points in your back pocket.
Yeah, I think as a staff, we go through prior to the trip, just the planning, right? Like what's our travel, where we are, hotels, do we have ice, do we not, what are our meeting times? I think that's all pre-set out, so there's no stress in the trip for players and or staff. And then preparation-wise, obviously we have a young team. We're finding our way identity-wise. We're trying to work on our game, and we have 3 more opportunities this weekend here to do that, and we're looking forward to the trip. There's lots to work on based on the last game we played against you guys, but we're looking forward to it.
You've been there for a while in Saginaw. Obviously, you've had some great success. Winning the Memorial Cup was the top one. Hosting the Memorial Cup, of course, and a lot of that success, I'm sure, helped you landed a shot as an assistant coach with the World Junior team. What do you take from that World Junior experience specifically that you can bring back to Saginaw and impart to your boys?
You know what? It was the greatest honor of my life, getting obviously to represent Canada, but also the biggest disappointment with how it ended. But inside of there, you can feel sorry for yourself, or you can learn lessons. And there were so many important lessons that we have brought back to our guys, whether it's small term competition or just what it takes to win, or maybe playing against a team if you're not as good maybe on paper, what do you need to do? We saw that obviously in Canada playing other teams, how they adjusted their game and the things they did to give themselves a chance against a better team. So it allowed me to understand, young group, maybe not as talented as other teams, what are the things we need to do to be able to win against teams that are ready to win now. And there's so many lessons in between. I think about it every day, to be honest, but it's great sharing stories with the guys, because we've taken some of the drills. We did some drills yesterday that we saw Sweden do in the tournament, and we explained that to our guys, and it just brings energy and gets them excited about new ideas.
Well, that's great stuff. And this interview today will be on our Troops Trio podcast tonight. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you on Sunday.
I look forward to getting up there. I always love getting up to North Bay.
All right, we thank Chris Lazerie for joining Bob Coles. Yeah, we like we said, the Battalion just saw this team, so they're going to come in looking for a little bit of revenge. I think one of the guys they've got to stop is Nikita Klepov. This guy's having an amazing first year in the OHL, 30 points in 19 games. But, yeah, I feel like Saginaw is their record doesn't indicate how good of a team they are right now. Like Chris said, they are a young team, but I feel like they're right on the cusp of really putting together a good string.
Well, it's sort of indicative of OHL hockey. You have that one incredible year, and they did the year they hosted the Memorial Cup. They won the Memorial Cup. Very successful year. Last year, they still had a lot of their players from that winning team in the lineup. Still a few left, and so you have to adjust year to year. It's a tough league in which you have to sort of rebuild or recycle or reload every 3 years. And Saginaw is going through that now. They still have a lot of offensive talent, no doubt about it. And Battalion have to be wary of that, especially in a rematch situation where the Battalion really took it to them for the whole game and put it away in the third period. But so Saginaw is going to give a great effort. They'll have played Sudbury on Saturday the night before, so it'll be an interesting game. There will be they won't be checking each other out on Sunday, Ranjan. I think a lot of familiarity already.
A lot of familiarity. It's not often that North Bay gets a team that played in Sudbury the night before. Usually it's the other way around, that Sudbury gets to play the team that we played on Thursday night, and they take advantage of that. So a tired team maybe, but a team that has pride. Saginaw has a lot of pride. They come in, they got embarrassed at home in front of their home crowd, and they're going to want to do the same thing to us. So it's a bit of a trap game for us that we better be ready to take on their best, because they're going to give us their best. Now, if they're fatigued, well, that's one thing. But we can't have anything less than the effort we had against Saginaw in Saginaw. We need a duplicate effort.
And you got to think that's the message Ryan Olahan is relaying to his troops. And Bob, you had a chance to catch up with not just the opposing head coaches, but our head coach as well in your Coffee with the Coach segment. So producer Gerald, let's hear Bob and Ryan chat over some coffee.
Hey, it's time for another Coffee with Coach. Bob Coles here with head coach of the North Bay Battalion, Ryan Olahan, giving a shot at the Coffee Crisp for the first time. So I'll give you a review next week. But let's talk about the weekend and interesting results, I guess, is the best way to put it. Tough loss Friday night in Flint, and then a real good response game on Saturday in Saginaw, and sort of a back and forth game on Sunday in Sarnia. How do you look back at the weekend, and what did you like? What concerns do you have about the group?
Well, I think it's always good to kind of go into a weekend with, maybe some thoughts of how you'd want it to go, or, what the plan is. I do that a lot more now as a coach, having the experience behind me. Is you go on that road trip trying to be 500. It's a tough, no matter what the teams are in the standings, it really doesn't matter when you go on that road trip, because you got to travel all the way out there, and then we're playing a 3-3. So with that being said, if you can be 500 or better, I think you come home pretty happy, even though there's a lot of ups and downs in that road trip, like big time. Now, having said that, we kind of accomplished the goal that we wanted, and now we get to be back home for a little bit. So I think overall, okay with the results, and certainly, things are shifting still in the right direction. So the first night, it's our toughest game of the weekend for sure, because of that travel. It doesn't go our way. Now, as a coach, you want to see them respond. And, we talked to the group right after, erase it from our memories. We get to get right back on it and redeem ourselves the next night. And then, boy, did they respond in Saginaw against a team that was, waiting for us too. And at home, hadn't had a good night the night before. You're worried about how they're going to probably come out on home ice. And we were the team that dictated that game. So really, really happy with the response. And then, you shift to Sunday. It's being a 2:00 game. The message is try to get off to a good start and then keep the game as simple as possible. And we found a way, the ups and downs in that game, but to be able to respond and score 2 late goals to get a massive, massive point. So was happy about that.
Just as a coaching maybe tip for the young coaches out there, when you lose a game like you lost Friday night, do you just throw out the tape saying that's really not our team, that it's a natural feeling that the guys are going to come back better the next day because they want to prove to themselves, and their teammates as well as the coaching staff that wasn't us.
Yeah.
Do you say anything? Do you sort of harp on certain plays, or do you just say, you know what, they're going to come ready to go because they're really maybe, I don't know, say embarrassed, but really disappointed themselves in how they performed?
It's a good question, and it's a good point, because I can honestly tell you that, 8-9 years ago when I was first starting out coaching, I probably would have handled that situation differently, and then it would have gone into the next night and then spoiled maybe the next night. What I've learned is to be patient with the guys. Again, understand what we're going through, understand maybe how they're feeling physically and all those types of things. And then just take a deep breath. We're on the road. We had still some fun that post-game dinner. Just tried to get the guys to forget about it. So I completely changed kind of the output on that. And not saying that's going to always work either, but when you play so poorly, you can't be any worse. And that's kind of the message that we had, to the guys, and knew they would respond, knew we would have a better outing. Did I know it was going to be that good of a response? No, and that's where I'm pleasantly happy with, just overall, the way they were on the bench, the energy that we had right from the start of the game, everything that was put into that outing, it means they care and means we have some really good leadership and a team that is capable of good things here.
Let's look ahead to this week. 2 home games. Erie, a team you haven't played, coming here Thursday. And then, of course, Saginaw and Grey Cup Sunday. 3 o'clock start, not the usual 2 o'clock start. And people can get here early, get some hot chocolate, watch the Santa Claus parade go by. That's why it's the game starts delayed by an hour because of that. So how do you look at the 2 opponents you have this week?
Yeah, well, first off, it's refresh. We got to get kind of refreshed after the long weekend. That will be the job here today and tomorrow, and then Thursday. We haven't seen Erie. However, my good friend Chris Mlette is the head coach over there now. We got to coach the Hlinka together and the Top Prospects game last year. So, looking forward to seeing him, but at the same time, I do have an understanding of, how he's going to want his team to play, and they're going to play hard. They're going to play extremely hard for him. They're going to be a tough team, especially on the road as well. So that will be Thursday. And then flipping the script, it's always nice, coming off a really hard weekend in terms of the travel and boom, boom, boom with the games, that we're going to have 2 days to debrief after that one. And then a team that, even though it's a Western Conference team with Saginaw, we just played them. So we're going to have a good understanding of the things that they're going to want to do, and we'll attack that one as well. And then it's funny, we're saying as a coaching staff how many double anthems we're getting hit with as well. So the fans need to be prepared for that, which is cool. We'll have a double anthem before the game.
Okay, have a great week. 2 home games. I'm sure you're glad to be off the road for a bit, so thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Bob, as always.
Battalion head coach Ryan Olahan on Troops Trio.
Always awesome to hear from head coach Ryan Olahan, whose Movember game is on point as well, I must say.
Well, I tell you, with Ryan, it's great to get him on Tuesday, because when they get on a Wednesday, he's almost in his game mode as far as thoughts of the Thursday night home game. You get him on Tuesday a little more relaxed, but that was some great advice from Ryan about how he's learned on the job with younger hockey players and the adjustments he's made in his coaching career. And certainly he's well regarded, coaching some national teams as an assistant coach. So yeah, that was some good insight there from Coach Olahan.
I think that I could listen to him for hours, because he always hits the nail right on the head when he's talking about his team and about the league and how to win in this league. So I would hope that when you have 2 completely different performances, the Flint performance and the Saginaw performance, that the coaching staff would be able to not dwell on it, but to show the boys, or to explain to the boys, okay, this is why we went off the rails. And I think Matt talked about it. You benchmark these games, and this is why we did so well the next night. So you know how to do it. It's just a matter of are you going to hit the ice and play the right way, the battalion hockey, or are we going to do something else where we are too much individual efforts, not playing as a 5-man unit, and then getting the game handed to us by the opponent. So if they can use these as learning moments, because I really view this team as a team on the build. This is not a finished product. I think if you look at next year and the year after that, that's where we could target being an apex predator in this league, is next year or the year after that. Right now, we got to build and build the right way. We got to work on special teams. There's lots of work that needs to be done on penalty kill. We have had in the past one of the top penalty killing units in the league, and so we got to get back there. We're not there right now. We're 17th in the league, and so lots of work to be done. And we saw against Sarnia, they scored 3 power play goals on 3 opportunities. That needs to be tidied up, and so this is a building year, and so you're going to have these uneven performances, but they're learning moments. And a guy like Ryan Houlihan, who we just watched, is ideal in that role of being a teacher as well as a coach.
And of course, also this week, we haven't touched on this, heading into the week, Cam Warren is back on the Battalion lineup.
That's right.
And with his gold medal that he picked up, and he played like all reports are. He was one of the top players for the red team that won. So nice to have a little Cam Warren input for the 2 home games this week.
Yeah, I mean, he was second or tied for the lead on the team before he left, so definitely will be awesome for the Battalion to get him back. Don't forget that on Thursday, it's also Noah Strong Jersey Day throughout the city of North Bay, so you're encouraged to wear your jersey to work, wear it to school, and then wear it to the Battalion game when they take on the Erie Otters on Thursday. That's going to wrap up today's show. We want to thank Sports Illustrated Tickets and Happy Dad Beverages for bringing you this show, as well as our community sponsors, the City of North Bay, the Boat North Bay, the Moose Cookhouse, the Clubhouse at Gateway Golf, and a huge thank you to the Fox and Fiddle for hosting us tonight. Make sure you check out the Battalion social media channels to find out where Troops Trio will be next. We know where we'll be next. We're heading back to the Moose Cookhouse for our next episode. So come on out, have a meal, and stay high, and watch Troops Trio live. We want to thank our camera operators, Cassidy and Jacob, our show coordinator, Owen, producer, Gerald, our hype man, AJ Jakeman, and executive producer, Steve Batanti. For Bob Coles and Ranjan Rupal, I'm Matthew Sookram, and this has been Troops Trio.